Today we're gonna check out some high gain guitar amplifiers. I know that's what you love the most, boys and girls, right? I recently visited BLACKSTAR amplification in the UK, and I thought like this is the perfect opportunity to check out what they have to offer for heavy metal chuga guitarists like me and you. So I did a quick and dirty comparison of all their high gain models, from their flagship models, the Series 1. I actually tested 2 of them with 2 different output tubes, to their pedal distortion into a hand-wired artisan amp, up to their modern and very innovative lightweight tube amp, the St. James, just to find out how different or how similar these amps might sound. Because something that is rather special about BLACKSTAR is, I think when they released the Series 1 amplifiers, they came up with their 2 main high-gain preamps called OD1 and OD2. OD1 being a little warmer and a little more traditional, OD2 being a little colder, more aggressive, more scooped. And they have stayed true to that concept with pretty much all their amplifiers. So not only in the Series 1, but also in the St. James and even in their pedals, you always find OD1 and OD2. So that's going to be very interesting, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to dial in the exact same tone on every amp, like a good sounding, modern sounding, tight sounding, chuga heavy metal rhythm tone. So you can compare how different those models actually sound, or how close BLACKSTAR got with their implementation of OD1 and OD2. But I want to start with a little interview about those different amps and those different models, straight from the horse's mouth. And after that, again, I will do my quick and dirty comparison. And I'm curious about your comments. Let me know which one is your favorite. You'll find links to all the amps below and all the gear used below. Let's get started. Hello, boys and girls. Guess where I am? Welcome to Northampton in the UK. I'm here at BLACKSTAR amplification. I'm here with Steve.
Good to see you, Kristian.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to BLACKSTAR.
Thank you very much. And Steve's going to give us an introduction to the different amps they make for us metalheads, right?
Yeah. So when BLACKSTAR launched in 2007, they came out with a couple of models, Series 1 and Artisan. And it was kind of like a flip side of the coin. The Artisan was hand-wired, boutique, point-to-point, very plexi-like.
Over here?
Yeah. Quite clean in the way that it reacted until you turned it up to 11.
Right.
You know, Angus Young in a box, basically.
But I remember, with the right pedal,
Yeah.
it can...
Absolutely.
You can get into metal territory.
And at that
right?
time, we had the valve pedals, the HT pedals, the high tension pedals, which were consisting of boost, distortion, drive, all kinds of stuff. So it took those.
The silver one is a great bass pedal, by the way.
It is.
Got that one.
Yeah.
I don't know, dual something or...
Yeah, the dual. Yeah. Really cool for bass. So those pedals were sort of a match made in heaven for the Artisan, really, and any pedal platform. Series 1 was the other side of the coin, multi-channel, from clean to high gain, MIDI switching capabilities. At that time, large heads like this were still very, very popular in stores. But really they're
still very popular in my studio.
And, you know, for studio stuff and backline, they're still very current.
Yeah.
For touring acts and large stadium arena shows. So at the time when they first came out, we had a one combo, 45 watts. We had a 50 watt head and a 100 watt head, and that was it. 2 channel. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, we realized that we needed something with a lot more flexibility. So we came out with the 104 series. And the 104 series gave you a hint on 4 channel. So it was a Series 100 4 channel.
Which is what we see here, right?
Yeah, so we had 3 models, in fact. We had the KT88, the 6L6 and the EL34. So there were 3 flavors.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's basically the same amp with different output power tubes.
Yes.
Same preamp, different, and of course different overall power, right?
Yeah.
This one has 200 watts, the KD88 version.
Yeah.
And the 6L6 and EL34 both have 100.
100. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reason for doing three versions?
Just to give some versatility, really. The EL34 power tubes are often very much used in British designs, you know, from obviously the classic Marshall designs right through to high watt, orange, that kind of thing, throughout rock and roll history. And the 6L6 power tubes, often classed as more of an American sound, right? Boogie, PV, and so on. So it was to give some flavour. The KT88 was the unusual one in that bunch. You don't really find many KT88 heads or valve amps out there.
Uberschall, I think.
Yeah,
right.
Not
many.
The Marshall Master, I think, Master Volume. But the KT88 was a really, really wonderful sound, as you'll hear. It's got a lot more headroom, less compression, very, very open sound. And it was one of the products that Gus G really liked. So when Gus got the Ozzy Osbourne gig, and obviously within Firewind as well, he was using, and still is, I think, the KT88. Yeah.
Because there is also another version. Do you still make it, the Gus G signature?
No, it was a limited run.
Okay.
Limited run.
Okay.
So if you can find one of those, you're in luck, right?
Okay.
But Gus often plays the KT88 as well. And he's playing more of our modern stuff that we've built as well. So.
Okay. I'm going to play all the amps later, by the way. So that's going to be interesting because here we have the 6L6 version and the KT88 version. And I'm going to play them with the same settings. So this will be an interesting comparison just to find out how much the power tubes actually affect the sound or not.
Yeah. They have the same
Hello,
layout.
Glenn Fricker.
They have the same layout essentially as well.
Yeah.
So
there's no different voicing or stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just power tubes that's
Power
the difference.
tubes.
Yeah. So there's two lines of EQ, one for the top line, so clean and crunch, and then OD1, OD2 has its own EQ as well.
What I like about this amp, or I have the EL34 version in the studio, and some people may have watched my high gain guitar tone crafting course where I'm using the amp. The cool thing is that you have 3 high gain channels. So you get like in one box, you get 3 flavors of high gain. The first one being like super dynamic and not overly high gain maybe, the crunch, but already usable if you have some hot pickups, usable for metal tones. And then like 2 more compressed options or something.
Yeah.
The last one sounding more aggressive, a little more scooped, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So really, really versatile design. Back then, I remember I tried the 6L6 and the EL34, and I went for the EL34. But that was 15 years ago or something, so I don't remember why.
Yeah.
So we're going to compare those two later. What else do we have? What about this sweet little thing there?
So we've already talked about Artisan, of course, since the early days of BLACKSTAR. But we have St. James, which is really bringing things current to now.
And just one question, this is still like a point-to-point handmade design these days? Okay.
Yeah, inside they're absolutely gorgeous, really well made, beautiful, very clean. St. James is bringing things right up to date, 2023. It's a 6L6 model, we do an EL34 again, so we are following through BLACKSTAR history and DNA.
Okay.
But this has 2 channels with a secondary voicing on the high gain channel. So.
And how does that? I mean, feature-wise, this is very different, right? There's a lightweight tube amp. There's is there an IR loader built in? Right?
Yeah. So full reactive load in there. SMPS power supply as opposed to a traditional heavy-duty coiled transformer. Keeping that lightweight thing going on. You know, ever since
you were trying to get like the same tone like this one, just with different like modern technology, or is that supposed to sound different? Like,
I would say that it does sound different, but it's still very much BLACKSTAR.
Okay.
But what BLACKSTAR tried to do is create products that give you the tools to find the sound you're looking for, with really responsive EQ specifically here, 2 voices. Again, it kind of mirrors the OD1, OD2 situation here.
Okay.
So it's more of a warmer, full-bodied mid push for the OD1, ticking the box of sort of a British high gain, and OD2 being a bit more scooped, a bit tighter.
More aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is like 2 real channels, right?
Yeah.
So even if you just have one set of controls, it's like OD1 and OD2. That's going to be interesting to compare. Not the real thing. This is also a tube amp, right?
Yeah.
But the old school way of making tube amps, with heavy transformers, to something like this, which is really lightweight. And then we have
this little thing here, and I think we're gonna play it. I gotta check out, like, probably through the Artisan, I guess.
Yeah,
Street
so I
channel.
mean, the Artisans are an amazing pedal platform, so that's going to work really well. That's our part of our Department 10 range, which is the dual distortion. We have a dual drive as well, and also a boost in that range. It's got a 12AX7 in there, which adds a lot of warmth and a lot of dynamics. Again, it's got our built-in cab rig, so you can store 3 cab rig slots, which is an accurate sort of representation of a mic and a cab setup.
I remember playing this one at 42 Gear Street through the Amped 1
Sure.
pedal thing.
Yeah.
At least I played one of the 2 channels, and it sounded really, really good.
Yeah.
So that is like the modern version of that old pedal that I have, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it mirrors the fact that it's got a clean option on there as well. So you can use this pedal direct. It has an XLR mono out or a stereo 1/4-inch line out, so you can go straight into a desk as an interface or
Awesome.
in a live environment if you had to. The nice thing about this is it's powered at 9 volts, 500 milliamp. The
The old one had those weird big power supply.
yeah, 22 volt at one point. So with the trends of today and the pedal trains and the pedal power, it's not often you're going to see something with 22 volt on.
No.
So we're bringing that back up to date. You know?
Okay.
The reason it has a send and return on there, its own effects loop, is if you do use it as a direct solution, you can actually put things in the loop. So things like delay, reverb, things.
So that's in between the preamp and the
cab rig.
Cab.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you're doing some really smart stuff. I got to say that, like super innovative, cool stuff. Also, like we're not showing the amped pedal platforms now here because we're talking about like
Old school.
old school, no, real amps, full. But yeah, BLACKSTAR are releasing some really interesting stuff that kind of pushes the boundaries between.
We hope so. We pride ourselves on innovation and forward thinking. We call it blue sky thinking. Look into the sky, imagine what you want to see. We don't have that history as a brand to fall back on. We don't have the poster of the guitarist from the 60s playing something. So we have to bring things to the market that are exciting and new and trying to push that envelope even further. You know?
Great. Okay. Time to check out all those different amps. So what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna play all those amps directly into a 2 nodes, Adam, Captor X?
Yes.
Captor X it is. Loaded with one of my IRs coming from the Bogren Digital Rainbows and Chainsaws pack. Link below. Get it, make me rich and famous, thank you. And so we're playing all the amps into the same IR, and here I'm gonna try to use the same settings so you can hear the difference between the 2 versions, the different output tubes. And yeah, but overall we just want to give you a quick and dirty impression of the distortion character of each of those models. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you, Steve.
No problem. Thanks, Christian.
Let's do some chugga chugga. Here we go.
That was interesting, wasn't it? First of all, let me say, I'm surprised by how close BLACKSTAR managed to get that OD1 tone, that kind of distortion into all those different amp models. Because, you know, it's quite different playing like a pedal-based tube preamp into the clean channel of the Artisan compared to playing a super modern lightweight tube amp with which doesn't even have a normal transformer and stuff. Like very, very different technical concepts. But I can tell that this BLACKSTAR OD1 distortion, no matter if you like it or not, is always there. So all those amps sound quite close to each other. Now let's talk about the single models. First of all, let's talk about the Series 1. Those two models sound quite different. I mean, there's a certain tolerance with all the knobs and everything, I know, but I really spent some time getting them to sound really close. And the interesting thing is that the 6L6 version, to my ears, sounds more aggressive, slightly thinner, and a little more scooped and just colder overall. Whereas the 200 watt version with the KD88 is fuller and warmer. Maybe that's what you expect because a bigger power amp has more headroom and can produce a cleaner bass. It's just very interesting that there is a difference. And I wouldn't say a difference in quality, just like colder and more aggressive on one side, the same type of distortion though, and something warmer and fuller on the other side. Which one is your favorite? You let me know. Now let's talk about the Artisan and the St. James, because they felt, when I played them, they felt really different compared to the Series 1. In two ways. Like the St. James just feels a little slower, a little more forgiving when you play it, a little less dynamic, but maybe in a good way because it's easier to play. And the Artisan pedal combination was quite the opposite. It felt like super fast, immediate, super dynamic, and more difficult to play. One thing that I've noticed about the St. James, I don't know if you could hear it in these examples, but I have a St. James here, and this amp sounds quite warm in the top end. It doesn't have that typical modern high gain tube grind that you get from a 5150, for example, that super high presence, grindy top end sheen. It sounds warmer and maybe a little more solid state-ish or something. But I'm not talking about the quality here. It just doesn't have that typical tube grind or less of it. And that makes it sound very precise, very tonal, and less noisy than your typical tube amp. Very interesting. The Artisan pedal combination was quite different. Very dynamic, twangy, immediate, difficult to play. I also gotta say that this combination, the Artisan and the pedal, that was just one snapshot. There are millions of combinations. Not only does the pedal have different types of distortion and its own EQ, but the Artisan also has a very, very powerful, I think, tone switch that really changes. Like you've got 5 positions and they all sound totally different. In this example, I was just trying to get close to the sound of the Series 1 and the St. James, but you got a lot of really cool options and I would love to try that here in the studio. Hey, BLACKSTAR, send me some amps. Anyway, this was just a quick and dirty test, and I wasn't in the best listening environment, but I hope, yeah, that was interesting to you. Let me know which ones you prefer. Leave a comment, please. I'll put links to all the different amps below and links to all the gear that we used. Thanks to Adam Steele from Hot Pole Studios for filming this and editing this. Hello, Adam. He's behind the camera. And thanks to BLACKSTAR for letting me into their headquarters. That was a lot of fun, and we filmed a lot more stuff there. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, again, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, do the usual stuff. Don't forget to let me know which one you preferred. That's all for today. I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.